Hello everyone, and welcome to my first video on this channel. I know it's a couple of days late. This is my New Japan Pro Wrestling Wrestle Kingdom 12 review. I did watch the event live in the UK. I actually attended a live viewing in London. I had to wake up at 5 AM, get there at 7. It was a bit stressful, but it's definitely worth it in the end because obviously this is a review and I'll give my opinion of the show at the end, but this is probably the greatest wrestling show I've ever seen in my life. I watched Wrestle Kingdom last year. I just watched it at home, like the day after, and in my opinion, Wrestle Kingdom 12 kind of blew Wrestle Kingdom 11 out of the water. And Wrestle Kingdom 11 was a good show. Of course, we had Kenny Omega vs Kazuchika Okada, which was the famous 6-star match. But yeah, this show was absolutely amazing. I think a lot of new fans really came into New Japan here. I won't pretend to be a New Japan expert because I'm not, and I have watched New Japan before quite a lot of times, but I'm certainly not an expert or anything. But I think this would definitely cement me as a fan of New Japan Pro Wrestling. I know that New Year Dash took place last night, which I will be watching after I record this video. And I do know what happened with Chris Jericho and Tetsuya Naito. I'm really looking forward to that. And yeah, I think this brought a lot of new eyes to the product. There were around 35,000 people there, which is a jump from around 28,000 people last year, which is pretty crazy. And I know that there were a lot of travelling fans as well. So this really goes to show how much New Japan is growing as a company and a product, and you know, again, how many new eyes are coming to the product from all over the world. It's not just a Japanese audience anymore. You know, it's a lot of Western fans as well. And New Japan is so accessible obviously these days with New Japan World and everything. So it's a great time to be a New Japan fan, I think. So we'll have to wait and see what year comes with New Japan. But it started off with Wrestle Kingdom 12, and let's get into it. On the pre-show we had the New Japan Rumble, happens at Wrestle Kingdom, which was won by Masahito Kakihara. In case you want to look it down, I've got a lot of notes. So yeah, Masahito Kakihara won New Japan Rumble. I believe this was his return to New Japan. He came back from an injury or something. A shock win, apparently. I wasn't really too sure. I only knew a handful of wrestlers in the Rumble. But yeah, it was a cool moment. A lot of people were happy for him. So yeah, I don't really have a lot to say about the New Japan Rumble, but it was pretty cool. I was cheering on Cheeseburger. I do like Cheeseburger, but he didn't win. So we're going to the main show, and it started off with the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team Championship match between Roppongi 3K and the Young Bucks, Matt and Nick Jackson. Great match to start the show, I have to say. The Young Bucks really, I feel like they change it up when in New Japan, because a lot of the time they do wrestling which just, it's kind of comedic, and they focus on a lot of character stuff. Like, I'm sure some of you guys would have seen it on, it was on like Being the Elite, and it was all over Twitter and stuff. They did, around Christmas time, they had a match and they started singing like Christmas songs from Marty Scurll and stuff. Obviously it's just all for fun, for a live crowd. No, it's great when you're watching it at home and stuff, you kind of just want to see some wrestling. But I think New Japan is really where the Young Bucks bring that. And this was a great match between them and Roppongi 3K. And it ended with the Young Bucks winning the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team Championships. So now they are 7-time champions. I did kind of expect the Young Bucks to win. Obviously I wanted the Young Bucks to win. But yeah, I wasn't really sure how great the match was going to be, especially considering it was the first match on the card. But it was absolutely fantastic. One of the highlights of the whole show, I think. It started off with, there was a nice double sharpshooter sequence from both teams. Like, I can't remember who had who in sharpshooters, but there was one member of Roppongi who had one of the Young Bucks in sharpshooter, and one of the Young Bucks had a member of Roppongi in his sharpshooter. which is a really cool spot. And Yo from Roppongi 3K actually got injured quite early on in this match. I believe it was his back that got injured. There was both Young Bucks members, Matt and Nick Jackson, just flung over the top rope. Landed awkwardly. I wasn't really sure exactly how he got injured. I don't even know if it was a real injury, if it was just kayfabe for the match, because later on in the match we actually had Matt Jackson injure his back as well. So I don't know if that was just playing into the story, or if they both genuinely actually hurt their backs, or if maybe Yo hurt his back and then Matt kind of played into the story that he hurt his back, so it'd be like an even playing field. I have no idea. But yeah, it's a really nice spot from the Young Bucks. And there was actually a running power bomb to Rocky Romero, the Roppongi manager, on the ramp from Matt Jackson. Brutal spot, and Romero was down for pretty much the whole match. And yeah, there was also an apron power bomb from Nick Jackson soon after, which was a pretty brutal looking spot. We had some springboard drop kicks, and there was a really nasty sounding back elbow from Nick Jackson. I can't remember which member of Roppongi did it to. Didn't write it down. But yeah, really nasty sounding elbow. I remember at the live viewing, I was like, everyone kind of reacted to that. We had a really nice spot from Sho Tanaka of Roppongi 3K. He had both members of the Young Bucks, a double German suplex. Great spot, really enjoyed that. And we had, which in my opinion was the best spot of the match, we had a buckle bomb and a kick to the back to Yo, which led into a swanton from the top rope onto Yo's back while he was still crouched over. Kind of hard to explain, but he did a swanton onto Yo's back, he's crouching over, slammed straight into the mat. Great spot. Then there was a near fall from a roll up to Matt Jackson from Yo. Both Roppongi members giving single leg Boston Crabs was great. Kind of reminded me of, I can't remember which NXT takeover it was at, but one NXT takeover, it was a DIY versus Revival when DIY won the NXT Tag Team Championships. And both Gargano and Ciampa had Scott Dawson and Dash Wilder in submissions, and they were both holding on to each other's hands. It kind of reminded me of that spot, and I wasn't sure if they were going to copy it, but they didn't. And then we had some super kicks from Matt, and then the Young Bucks made Yo tap with, I think it was with the cease and desist, and we had new champions. Really great match to start the show. I think it definitely set the bar, and it's, you know, I don't even know if it was one of the better matches on the show just because of the match quality that this show had. Sorry if you heard that. But yeah, it was probably like in the middle for me, but just not because the match wasn't good, but there was just so many great matches. And then straight after that we had, this is a long one, we had a Never Openweight 6-man Tag Team Championship Gauntlet match. So we had the champions, Bullet Club, made of Tama Tonga, Tangaloa and Bad Luck Fale, versus Ryusuke Taguchi, Juice Robinson and Togi Makabe. Sorry if I butchered any of those names. And they went against a Chaos team of Beretta, Toru Yano and Tomohiro Ishii. I'm quite a fan of Ishii actually. I think he's a really good wrestler, and he's had some great spots. He had a really great spot in this match, which I'll get to. And I think he had a really great match with Kenny Omega last year. I believe it was in the G1 Climax, I believe. That was a really great match. And then we had War Machine, Hanson and Raymond Rowe with Michael Elgin. And they went against Suzuki Gun team of Taichi, Takashi Iizuka and Zack Sabre Jr. If I butchered any of those names or got anything wrong, I'm sorry. I remember the match started with a mass brawl between the teams that started. And we had a really nice suplex from Michael Elgin, who I also think is a really great wrestler, and he had a great match with Kenny Omega last year too. And Taichi used like a pole type weapon. It was a small one, and he used it in the corner when the referee was distracted. That was used again later in the match, I believe. And then there was a really nice escape. I can't remember who it was. Someone did a cartwheel escape and it led into a clothesline or lariat, which is a really nice spot. And there was a huge back elbow which rocked Zack Sabre Jr. and he went straight to his knees, which led into some shotgun knees. Really nice spot. But then soon after, Hansen attempted a moonsault from the top, but he missed. Led into some sick shots between him and Zack Sabre Jr. And then Zack Sabre Jr. got Raymond Rowe in a triangle, choked him out. War Machine and Elgin were eliminated. I didn't expect that. I thought Suzuki Gun or Suzuki Gun were going to get eliminated, but they didn't. So we had Toru Yano's Chaos team entered next. All 6 members were brawling on the ramp to start. And then I believe it was Taichi who got rolled up soon after, and Suzuki Gun got eliminated pretty quickly. There weren't really any notable spots other than the brawl on the ramp. So then we had the team of Taguchi, Juice and Makabe who entered next. There was some punches from Juice, and I can't remember who it was. Someone picked up the pad in the corner and tried to hit Juice Robinson with it, but he avoided it. And then Toru Yano was victim to some running clotheslines, lariats from all 3 of his opponents. He was in the corner and they all took their turns hitting him with some lariat clotheslines. And then there were some like Shinsuke Nakamura taunts in the corner, which I don't really know why, but it got a pop from the crowd. Some of those taunts from him as if he was going for a Kinshasa, but then he got rolled up and Juice Robinson's team were eliminated. So then we had the champions Bullet Club enter. So Bullet Club versus Chaos, which this was really the highlight of the match, I believe, these 2 teams. So there was a fireman's carry slam onto a ring apron, like an attitude adjustment, to Beretta, which was a pretty nice looking spot. We had Ishii attempt to suplex Bad Luck Fale, who I don't know his exact height and weight, but he's got to be at least 6'5", 6'6", at least, and he's probably 280 pounds, 300 pounds. He's a huge guy. Then he got driven into the corner, and Fale ran at him, but he escaped the running press from Fale soon after. And then somehow Ishii actually managed to suplex, a vertical suplex to Bad Luck Fale. And absolutely crazy spot. It's incredible strength. Crowd popped pretty big for that. And that was probably the highlight of the match for me. And I'd say one of the highlights of the show actually in terms of spots. And Tama Tonga and Tangaloa did a 2-on-1 attack on Beretta. And then Beretta did a moonsault, but it got countered into a gun stun, which is like a cutter, from Tama Tonga, but the pin got broken up. Beretta hit the Dude Buster, got the pin. We had new champions, Chaos, Beretta, Ishii and Toru Yano. This is a pretty fun match, I think. Again, like I think Ishii was very impressive in this match, even though he only had really a couple spots, but really made the match for me. I like Beretta as well. I think he's a good wrestler. And I'm definitely a fan of Bad Luck Fale. I think he's awesome. Yeah, we had new champions in Chaos, which led to an absolutely fantastic match between Cody and Kota Ibushi, which was not a title match anymore, just a singles match. But the commentators were saying on the English commentary that, you know, whoever wins this match will definitely get their name in the hat for a shot at the IWGP Heavyweight Championship. So we had a cool entrance from Cody. He came out with Brandy. Really nice attire, all in red. And obviously the blonde hair. Really cool stuff. And typical heel Cody, when the bell sounded, he left the ring just to kiss Brandy from the outside. And then Cody got back in the ring and he hit Ibushi with like a shoulder takedown. Ibushi did a kip up straight away, which is a really cool spot. Cody was cocky and he had Ibushi in submission, then when Ibushi was on the floor, he actually stuck his hand out to help him up, which I thought was really funny. Then Ibushi, after, he flew over the top rope and hit Cody, but he also hit Brandy Rhodes, and she went down. And Ibushi, he felt bad, I guess, so he went over to Brandy to check on her and see if she was okay. And he ended up picking her up, and he got punched in the face pretty hard by Cody, knocked him out, and Brandy was faking it the whole time. Awesome stuff. And then Cody, this is really where he started to dominate this part of the match, and he actually hit Ibushi with a chair when Brandy Rhodes was distracting the ref on the outside. Definitely quite a hard shot from Cody. And then Ibushi avoided the next shot, and then he started to rally and gain momentum. So Ibushi did a moonsault to the outside to Cody, and he got Cody in the ring and hit a springboard missile dropkick and went on a really hard hitting sequence. It was kind of like similar to AJ Styles' sequence that he does a lot, which was really cool. And then there was a suplex attempt from Kota Ibushi, and Brandy Rhodes on the outside grabbed his leg to stop him from doing it, and then Cody started getting back on level terms. They were both on the ring apron at this point. In my opinion, this was spot of the night, this next part. Cody hit a crossroads from the ring apron to the outside. Kota Ibushi landed straight on the top of his head by the looks of it. Spot of the night, in my opinion. Yeah, this was a crazy spot. I don't know if Ibushi suffered anything after the match, but he is one tough motherfucker, I'll give you that, because I would not want to take that spot. And yeah, it was a simple spot, but it looked nasty, it really did. And Cody rolled back in the ring after, because he was down for a while, but he went for the count out victory, and Ibushi somehow got in the ring just before the count ended. And then Cody, actually, when he was trying to pick up Ibushi, Ibushi was just collapsing. He could hardly stand up because of that crossroads, still obviously suffering damage. And they started, actually hit a lawn dart in a corner to Cody, Ibushi did. Cody went for another crossroads, counted it, lawn dart in the corner. They started trading slaps, and Ibushi hit a really hard slap on Cody, and then he hit him with a kick and a last ride powerbomb, which was a really cool spot actually. And he got a very near fall there. Ibushi knocks Cody to his knees with a roundhouse kick, and he transitioned into a straight jacket German suplex and a big knee to Cody's face. Ibushi hit a 360 Phoenix Splash, I believe it was, which was a sick move. Pin Cody, 1, 2, 3. Match of the night so far, and in my opinion, this is an early match of the year contender. Definitely, easily one of the best matches of the night. Probably my number 2, tied number 2. But yeah, Kota Ibushi won the match, and yeah, I do expect that he will be in contention for a championship match. Again, I haven't seen New Year Dash, so I don't know everything that happened. I don't know if anything happened with Kota Ibushi or Okada. I just know what happened between Jericho and Naito. So next up, we had IWGP Tag Team Championship match with the Killer Elite Squad, which is a team of Lance Archer and Davey Boy Smith Jr., of course the British Bulldog's son, against Evil and SANADA, who are part of Los Ingobernables de Japón. So, before the match started, during the Killer Elite Squad's entrance, Lance Archer was doing Triple H-like spits at the crowd with water, and he was throwing water all over them. He was spitting it everywhere. I think he did it to some of the commentators and ring announcers as well. Walking all over the arena, in between like the gaps in the stands. Pretty funny. Did go on for quite a while, but I did get a kick out of it. And Killer Elite Squad, KES, like hit their finisher straight away. They knocked SANADA to the outside, and they hit their finisher to Evil straight away. But SANADA got back in and broke up the pin. And this match was completely dominated by KES. Like, I would say it was probably at least 90-10 in their favour, maybe 95-5. Evil was lying on the floor or on the mat. He was being attacked by Archer. Dave Boy Smith got tagged in and did like a cocky pin. He stood on his chest with his foot and he had his arms raised. 2 count. Very cocky like heels these guys are. I don't believe I've really ever seen these guys wrestle. I've seen David Boy Smith Jr. wrestle in WWE when he was part of the Hart Foundation. I don't really remember seeing them wrestle as a team. I think I have 1 or 2 times, but like this, I was still kind of thinking them as new. I'd never really, like, I didn't have an opinion on the guys or anything. I didn't even know anything about them. But yeah, it was pretty. They were dominating. They were cocky. I did enjoy it, but I think it did go. I don't know. I think it was a bit much after a while because it started kind of. It wasn't getting boring, but it was just kind of the same thing over and over again. But we had Dave Boy Smith Jr. lifted SANADA, just threw him to the outside over the top rope. I believe it's over the top rope, and then KES attacked everyone on the outside. We had, I think, young boys on the outside, like the trainee wrestlers or young lions. It might have been. Yeah, the people on the outside, like ring attendants. And KES just started attacking everyone, and then Archer chokeslammed Evil into, I think there were 3 ring attendants on the outside. Chokeslammed him into the pile, which was pretty cool. KES completely dominated so far, and they continued to do so. SANADA sidestep when Archer ran at him in the corner, thinking that he was going to start changing the momentum of the match, but it wasn't to be. KES quickly regained that momentum, kept the upper hand, and then Archer actually took off, I think it was SANADA's elbow pad, and started like choking him out. He had it over his mouth, pulling on it. Really brutal spots in here. I really got the feeling that Killer Elite Squad really were killers. Like, they were out for blood in this match. And then he tagged in Dave Boy Smith Jr. who hit a beautiful gut wrench suplex. Great stuff from him. I did notice that Lance Archer was definitely more. He's become more like a street fighter in this match. Like, I don't know if he's like this all the time. He didn't really do anything too fancy. He just did stuff that really looked nasty and like it would really hurt. And some like quite simple to do spots, but they look brutal. Like the choke slam to the outside and the choking of the elbow pad. Really made it look like he was just like a street brawler and stuff. Dave Boy Smith Jr. is a fantastic wrestler. He really showed that in his match, especially with that suplex. I thought was really great. Archer hit a really nice Uranagi though, very high up to SANADA, and he kicked out of 2 somehow. I just thought that was going to be the end of the match. I thought it was going to be it was completely one-sided for most of the match, but I thought that was going to be it. But SANADA actually managed to get back at Archer and made a hot tag to Evil. And he hit a running lariat to corner, so from the corner to Archer for a near fall. Didn't expect it to be the end of the match, of course. Archer then hit a superplex to Evil. Really nice spot, and then both teams tagged their partners, and SANADA got the upper hand on Dave Boy Smith Jr. Somehow, I don't know how he wasn't still too hurt to compete, but he did. And Archer hit a really high choke slam on SANADA soon after this. Yeah, another choke slam from him. It was broken up by Evil. And there was a set-up power bomb from David Boy Smith Jr., which is a very, very near fall. Again, David Boy Smith Jr. really showing his technical ability in this match. Despite it being like a brawl and a street fight, he really showed what he could do. I don't get how he was misused in WWE. I know this is obviously in a WWE video, but I was saying to my friend who I was with, like, when he was part of the Hart Foundation in WWE, he was kind of, for the most part, just like a white meat baby face. Like, I don't really remember ever caring that much. I knew he was a good wrestler, but I didn't really care about him that much because they didn't really do anything with him. It was kind of like Neville before he became the king of the cruiserweights. And now in New Japan, he's a cocky son of a bitch, and he's great at it. He did look quite funny though with the blonde hair and a lot of tan, but yeah, he looked absolutely great in this match. And then Evil hit Everything is Evil and a Magic Killer for a near fall, and SANADA hit a moonsault on Dave Boy Smith Jr. and we got new champions. Evil and SANADA, Los Ingobernables de Japan. There we go. New champions. I do want to say that Evil's eye appeared to be swollen after the match. Countless attacks on him, so I'm not surprised. I was okay with these guys winning because, like, again, I've said this, I don't know everything about New Japan, but they seem to be cool, I like them, and the crowd did seem to want them to win. So I'm cool with them winning, but I don't know, like, I wish they had a bit more of the match in their favour, because it was a bit, like, unbelievable that they would win despite taking all that damage. And the Killer Elite Squad, they were tough guys, and really they should have won. The Everything is Evil was nice, the Magic Killer was nice, the Moonsault was nice, but after all the damage they took, I don't know. They made a Never Openweight Championship hair versus hair match. It was also nobody at ringside. So, you know, obviously they'll usually ring attendants and stuff at ringside. Not in this match. As the champion Minoru Suzuki versus Hirooki Goto. The match started suit tight. This is actually quite similar to the last match. We had Minoru Suzuki dominating most of the match, and they were trading blows. Suzuki actually transitioned into a rear naked choke, which was really nice. He got him. He sat on the top rope and had Goto choked out, really, and he dropped him to the floor. Goto was out. I thought this was going to be the end of the match, and I thought he was going to lose those luscious locks. But the referee and the doctor were checking on him. Suzuki clearly said end the match, and the commentators were saying the match should really be over. Suzuki just started attacking Goto when he was down. Suzuki, he took Goto to the outside and threw him into the barricade hard, and he started attacking Goto with a steel chair. The referee took the chair from Suzuki, who Goto was out of it. He told him to get in the ring, and Goto was checked on. He struggled to stand up, and he somehow got in the ring, but was completely dominated by Suzuki, who was being extremely cocky at this point. And Goto got some slaps to the chest. I think one of them actually sounded really hard, but then he was just knocked to the mat like straight after. Didn't seem to do really anything to Suzuki. Goto started gaining momentum, and he hit a running bulldog from the corner, which was a cool way to get his momentum in his favour. The crowd started getting behind him, and Goto attempted a Ushigoroshi, but he got caught in a hanging guillotine, which there were a lot of submissions in this match, and then that hanging guillotine was transitioned into a sleeper hold, which I got to clap to, man. That was a really nice transition from Suzuki. This is, I believe, the first time I've seen Suzuki wrestle, at least I can remember. And if he's doing stuff like this all the time, then that's great, especially for a guy his age. Some really nice transitions. And Suzuki-gun, so Goto hit a Ushigoroshi, and then Suzuki-gun started making it to ringside, and Taichi, who was there, I believe it was Taichi, had a chair in his hand, but he managed to make it onto the ring apron, but Goto hit him to the outside, and then Suzuki-gun were held back by the young lions, or the young boys, who were like behind the barricade, so holding it back. And then Minoru Suzuki hit a really nasty looking dropkick onto Goto's jaw. Goto came from the ropes, started running, and Suzuki hit straight here on his jaw, on his chin. Nasty. Repeated open hand strikes from Suzuki, which is a good spot. He transitioned into a sleeper hold again, and Goto countered it and escaped, and he drove Suzuki into the corner. Both men were on the second rope, and Suzuki had Goto in a headlock, which transitioned into a super Ushigoroshi from the top rope. It's a really nice spot, and a very near fall there as well. Both men were hitting each other with forearms in the center of the ring, and Suzuki's in particular sounded really, really mean, man. Goto, you could hear them, but Suzuki was straight there. Really great stuff. Every time he hit them, the crowd really reacted to it. And they switched into a double headbutt, which Goto actually got the better of. We had a GTR from Goto into a Revolution, I believe it was called, which got the pin for Goto and a new champion. Similar to the last match, dominated for the most part by Suzuki, but he still ended up losing. This one I didn't mind as much because it definitely wasn't as dominant from him, and I kind of expected Suzuki to lose this match, honestly, just based on the hair aspect, because Suzuki he had really short hair for the most part, and he just had a little bit of like a mohawk at the back of his hair. And I didn't expect Goto to lose his hair, so yeah, good stuff. And then after the match, Suzuki was kind of walking away, and then Suzuki-gun were trying to stop him from going back. But Suzuki got back into the ring. There's a chair already in the ring, but Suzuki with his own chair and smacked the other one out the ring, put his own one there, and he started shaving the back of his head, which is pretty cool. Very hard hitting match this was, and again it's mostly dominated by Suzuki, who didn't end up winning in the end, but I was cool with it. I enjoyed the match. Yeah, I think the only reason it was only overshadowed, similar to a lot of matches on this card, is just because of how good the card was. If this was on, a WWE pay-per-view, I think people would probably be saying this was top 2 matches on the card. So then we had, in my opinion, what was match of the night, and another early match of the year contender, I'd say, although it was a bit of a spot fest, it was okay. We had the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship. We had the champion, the villain, Marty Scurll, against Hiromu Takahashi versus Kushida versus Will Ospreay. A really, really awesome entrance from Marty Scurll. The first thing I have to say, the music was great, the attire was great, the wings were awesome. I saw actually on Twitter or Instagram, Cody posted a picture of Marty Scurll, and he was like doing the wings, just making them or something, or like he had to do something to them, and apparently he had a lot of trouble getting them into Japan. So this isn't just Marty Scurll, but I think just the Bullet Club in general really do focus on their attire and their entrances, and I really appreciate that, because I feel with a lot of modern wrestlers, they don't really focus on their character as much as I feel they should, and that's why I think a lot of people are turned off of wrestling. But the Bullet Club definitely focus on character and appearance, which is great. So we had Scurll, he left the ring like straight away and left the other 3 to it, and then Takahashi's got laid out by Will Ospreay, and then Will Ospreay attempted a pin on Kushida, but then Scurll, he kept re-entering the ring when there was a pin to break up, and then left again straight away, which is really cool. And there's a nice early sequence from Ospreay and Kushida, and Ospreay Hurricane Rana Marty Scurll and Kushida, and then he countered Takahashi's Hurricane Rana attempt, and Scurll hit a super kick to Takahashi on the apron and knocked him into the camera, which was cool stuff. Kushida hit a swanton from the top rope onto Scurll and Takahashi, who were on the outside, and they crashed past the barricade, and Ospreay took advantage of this and climbed this high structure. It was like a lighting rig, I think, and he climbed it and he moonsaulted from it, and he hit the others. Didn't get much on Scurll, but definitely hit the other 2, which is a really great spot. Maybe the best spot of the match. Back in the ring, we had Kushida countering a standing moonsault from Ospreay. Ospreay, I just want to say, impressed me the most in this match. I think Kushida as well was really great, but Will Ospreay was absolutely fantastic this whole match. And Ospreay attempted a springboard missile dropkick to Kushida, and Kushida reversed it into an armbar, which was absolutely brilliant. Still quite early on in the match, and these guys are already showing what they can do, especially Kushida and Ospreay. Then all 4 men were in the ring, and Scurll and Kushida started battling out, which turned into all 4 men were getting moves on each other. And we had a clothesline from Marty Scurll, which sent Will Ospreay flying. He like backflipped after it, which was fantastic. And then Ospreay did the same thing to Marty Scurll just seconds later. And Scurll actually caught Ospreay mid-air soon after and hit a cutter. Brilliant stuff from these guys. And Scurll actually taped Takahashi's arm to the barricade, which was like medical tape. And he did the like joint manipulation and snapped his fingers. Whenever Marty Scurll does that, I cringe, man, because I love it when he does it, but it's pretty hard to watch. And of course everyone was quiet so you can hear it. Ospreay and Kushida on the top rope, they both snapped Scurll's fingers, which was great. And there was an avalanche armbar from Kushida to Will Ospreay, and then Ospreay countered it into a buckle bomb, which was absolutely fantastic. And then after, because obviously Scurll got his fingers snapped, he taped his own fingers with this first aid tape, which was great. Scurll then threw powder from the medical first aid kit into Kushida's face. Then Kushida actually managed to get a small package out of it, which was kicked out of, and then there was a great sequence here. Takahashi sunset flip power bombs Ospreay, and then did one to Scurll, who were both on the outside, which was brilliant. Yeah, very near fall on Scurll after that. Ospreay and Scurll started working together, which never seen before. And then they hit the other 2 of these repeating super kicks, and it didn't last long at all. There's a Death Valley driver to the outside. Ospreay took advantage of that and hit a shooting star press to all 3 men on the outside. Will Ospreay's great. Has to be said there. Takahashi then kicked out of Ospreay's inverted 450 splash, very near fall. Scurll put the referee outside the ring. He pulled him out, so that's how it was very near fall. And uses Umbrella to attack Takahashi and Kushida, but Ospreay managed to avoid it, and Ospreay got the pin on Marty Scurll for the win. New champion. All the titles have changed hands so far. And we had a fast-paced match. This was tons of great spots. Again, it was a little bit of a spot fest, but hey, another early match of the year contender in my opinion. In my opinion, this was the best match on the card. Cody and Kota Ibushi was very close, and also the main event between Okada and Naito, which I'll get to. But I think this was the best match on the card. Great stuff from all of the guys here, especially Will Ospreay and Kushida. Up next, we had a match for the IWGP Intercontinental Championship. The champion, Hiroshi Tanahashi, versus Jay White. This was the first time I'd seen Jay White wrestle. I'd heard a lot about him. But I'd never actually seen anything of him before, actually. I've never seen him wrestle, I've never seen his promos or anything. So this was a first for me. His character work seemed cool. I like his design, his whole switchblade thing. I thought it was cool, man. He is very young, I know that, and I think he does have a lot of potential seen from this match. I do feel like this match did kind of bring out some of his weaknesses. It seemed like a very slow worker, which is fine, but he's still a bit green. So I guess they thought working with Tanahashi would kind of hide that, but I don't think it did. I still thought this was a pretty good match. I feel like a lot of people sleep on it. I'll get to that at the end of the match. The match kind of started with not a lot of stuff happening, but we had a flying forearm, which is the first kind of notable spot for the match from Tanahashi. And Tanahashi actually tweaked his knee on the outside, and Jay White took advantage and started attacking Tanahashi's knee, and he trapped it like in the barricade. So I think Tanahashi was sitting on top of the barricade, and he had his leg and his knee caught in this gap, and he kicked it, which looked pretty cool. And White hit a snap suplex for a 2 count, which was nice from him. And he continued to work Tanahashi's knee. I believe it was his right knee. There's some unorthodox holds from White to work the knee, ones that I'd never really seen before. And then Tanahashi eventually got to the bottom rope, and Tanahashi started gaining momentum and took the upper hand. Tanahashi hit a nice somersault senton for a 2 count, and the crowd was definitely firmly behind Tanahashi. I've seen Tanahashi wrestle before, I know a bit about him, I know he's a great wrestler, and I know that New Japan fans love Tanahashi. Yeah, I believe he was kind of the biggest star in the company at one point, and yeah, I get that kind of changed, but I know New Japan fans love Tanahashi, and I can see why. Tanahashi hit a dragon screw to Jay White's leg, who was trapped in the corner, which I thought was actually a really creative spot, which is the only time I actually wrote that in my notes for the whole card, creative spot. We had Tanahashi, he hit a frog splash to White on the outside, which was great, and they both end up having an injured knee at this point, because White injured his knee, I believe from the dragon screw to the leg. And there was a... Now, I know I said that Jay White is a bit green, but this is a really beautiful gut-wrench German suplex from him in the centre of the ring. Great stuff. And I believe this is where kind of the match was picking up around this stage, and it started to get a lot better. And White ended up hitting Tanahashi's head with a vertical suplex to the ring apron. Really nasty stuff, kind of similar to how Kota Ibushi fell on the top of his head during that crossroads to the outside. And White started taunting Tanahashi in the corner, hitting with some knees to the face, which really riled up Tanahashi. We had a running Death Valley driver from White for a near fall, and he started grabbing the referee's shirt in like frustration. We had a missile drop kick, which from the top rope, which is countered by Tanahashi into a dragon screw to White's knee again. And we had some sling blades from Tanahashi, frog splash, and he failed to hit the next attempt straight after. White got Tanahashi in a crucifix on the mat, and he hit his head with some elbows which looked quite nasty. But then White was groggy. White was a bit groggy, and Tanahashi hit him with a frog splash while he was standing, which was nice. And then he hit another frog splash when he was down, and he got the win. First championship retained of the night. Yeah, I feel like people were asleep on this match quite a bit. People didn't really seem too impressed at the viewing I was at. Some people enjoyed it, but a lot of others were kind of bored through a lot of it. It started slow, but I feel like it got very good towards the end of the match. I think big things are coming for Jay White in the future. Character work is great, he's got a nice look. Does come across a bit of like an edgy teenager, but it's cool. Yeah, I was quite surprised he had this high profile of a match. But yeah, I see big things coming for him, and I don't think he really has to worry, even if some people didn't really enjoy this match too much. I can see why they wouldn't, but I personally enjoyed it. Now, we're on to the double main event. We had the IWGP United States Heavyweight Championship match, no disqualification. Well, I'll get to that. We had the champion Kenny Omega versus Chris Jericho, Alpha versus Omega. The reason why a lot of people, I believe, travelled to Wrestle Kingdom, and why a lot of people actually at the viewing I was at was saying this is why I'm here for this match. Calling it Dream Match, which it absolutely is. And the crowd popped big for Chris Jericho's entrance. He came out to Fozzie's song Judas, which is of course his band. He had a really nice jacket as well. And it was a great attire for Kenny as well in his entrance, and the Young Bucks were at his side just in regular clothes. And before the bell rung, Jericho flipped off Kenny, and then he attacked him when he was in the corner with talking to the Young Bucks, and Jericho was then held back by the guys at ringside. The match starts, and they both just started hitting each other straight away in the centre of the ring, and Omega gave Jericho a big boot. Jericho then actually he pulled Red Shoes in front of him to stop the slaps to the chest from Kenny Omega. Red Shoes kind of got he got quite involved in this match actually. And Jericho reversed a Hurricane Rana attempt into the walls of Jericho very early on, which was great. Popped hard for that, and Omega grabbed the bottom rope because there's no disqualification, which we'll get to later. Omega kicked his way out of the walls and launched Jericho through the middle rope to the outside. And Omega leapt from the springboard to the outside, and he crashed through the announce table, which was straight behind Chris Jericho. He ran out of the way. It's a really nice spot. And then this is where Jericho really started again. It's heel shitting again. He put Jericho put Omega into the walls, and he wasn't tapping out, and he then hit Red Shoes, and I believe Red Shoes' son, who was one of the guys at ringside, was like checking on him, and then Jericho ended up putting him in a lion tamer, which was great. I was laughing my ass off during that. Everyone popped big for it. Really great heel stuff from Jericho as well. It's been a long time since we've seen him do stuff like this. I think the last time I've been in his feud with Shawn Michaels. So great stuff from Jericho. Omega got up and threw a chair at Jericho and hit him with a monitor. And Jericho ended up getting up and he pushed Omega down and flipped the table on him, which was great. Not a table like what Braun Strowman did to Brock Lesnar, but it's a smaller table, but he flipped it on him. And Omega climbed the same kind of lightning rig structure that Will Ospreay did earlier in the night, and he gave like a coup de grace to Jericho, double stomps, which was great. And Jericho had a flat table on top of him as well, which probably actually doesn't make the impact as much, but it looked great. And then Jericho hit a nice suplex on the outside, and there's a count. The count started even though there's no disqualification. I believe the count started when they got back inside the barricaded area, so maybe if someone could clarify for me that, I'd really appreciate it. So maybe it's if they're outside the barricade there's no count, if they're inside the barricade there is a count. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. A lot of people were confused with that. Then both men got in the ring and they jumped to a top rope, but Jericho got the advantage. He kicked Omega's knee, which is looked really great. Is a drop kick to his knees, and Jericho ended up powerbombing Omega on the outside. And when Omega was still down, Jericho was gloating and stuff, and he grabbed a camera like the one I'm recording with, just a small camera, and he ended up like I think he was taking pictures of Kenny when he was down, and then he was like filming the crowd and just flipping everyone off. It was great stuff. Some really funny but badass heel stuff from Jericho in this match. I loved it. And Omega put Jericho against the ropes later in the match, and he decided to hit his chest, and Jericho soon after get Omega down and hit him with a lion salt. Big pop for that. People love the lion salt, man. He doesn't really do it anymore. So Omega then hit a really sweet Hurricane Rana out of nowhere. He just got up and hit a Hurricane Rana, great. And lariated Jericho to the outside, and he flipped over the top rope and landed on Jericho's right arm really hard. I think his arm was okay, it didn't seem to be injured or anything, but it definitely looked bad. And then Omega started taking control properly for the first time in this match. V-trigger from Omega, and then Jericho was obviously rocked after it, and he somehow then Omega, he rolled him up into the walls. Nice spot there. Omega then, he crawled to the corner and undid the Velcro on the side of the ring with like the adverts and stuff. And he grabbed a spray from under the ring and he sprayed it in Jericho's eyes. So Jericho obviously undid the walls and was covering his eyes and stuff. And then he started spraying himself, he was spraying his armpits, then he started spraying under his trousers, his hair. Really funny stuff from Omega. And Jericho was telling Red Shoes he can't see. Red Shoes was like checking on his eyes. And then Jericho ended up shoving Red Shoes into Omega. Red Shoes is the referee, in case you guys don't know. and he pushed Omega head first into the corner where a chair had been set up earlier in the match by Jericho, which looked bad, and he did that a few times. He just slammed his face into it, and I believe this is the part where he got busted open. He started touring for a while, he did it again, and Omega was rolling in pain. Jericho was gloating a lot. Yeah, he was busted open, and Jericho wiped Omega's blood on his face. Classic heel move. He was touring. Omega started rallying soon after this, actually, where he hit a V-trigger and 2 Snapdragon suplexes. I just want to say, Kenny, everything that he does is so quick, and it's really great to see. Even like his speed when he runs, his snap suplexes, his V-triggers, he's really quick, and I was surprised that Jericho could actually keep up with his pace for the whole of this match. Omega actually attempted a one-winged angel, but he couldn't get it, so he hit another Snapdragon suplex. Jericho straight after grabbed the chair and hit Omega in the head, and the chair was actually broken at this point. The middle part where you sit on it actually come out, so it's just the frame of the chair. Jericho was striking Omega over and over to his back and his, I believe it was his left arm, and Omega was just staying down in pain. Jericho climbed top rope and hit him with the steel chair frame. Omega got up and quickly dropkicked Jericho again. His speed is absolutely great. For that every time I've seen him wrestle, and I've seen him wrestle a lot of times. I always think it. Omega hit another V-trigger, and Jericho was actually on the top rope, and he drop kicked him when he was on the ropes, and he clung onto the ropes and stopped going through the table. And then when he actually hit him the second time, he did go through the table with that V-trigger. We had a mean V-trigger, mean V-trigger to a grounded Jericho. Then he hit a flying V-trigger, and Omega hit a nice pile driver for a near fall. Another flying V-trigger, almost hit a one-winged angel, and Jericho somehow countered it into the walls. He went to hit the one-winged angel, he was getting him down, and Jericho instead rolled and got him up and he put him in the walls. You have to really watch it to see what I mean. Great, absolutely great. One of the best spots of the whole night, I would say. The crowd were going nuts for that, and Jericho switched it into lion tamer and back into the walls. And Omega grabbed onto the ropes and escaped with the help of that. Omega countered a code breaker from Jericho, and he got 2 V-triggers, and he actually hit a one-winged angel on Jericho, and Jericho broke the pin by grabbing onto the ropes. Again, I didn't understand this. No disqualification, and there was a rope break. I know in like WWE that's not a thing, so I've never seen it happen in New Japan before either, where it's like a no DQ and a rope break. So if anyone could clarify, that'd be great. I know a lot of people are confused about that, where I was watching as well. Everyone didn't really know what was going on, so I don't know if that was just a mistake. I don't think the commentators really picked up on it, so I don't know. But that's what happened, and then Omega climbed the top rope, and Jericho chopped his chest hard, and he got dropped face first. Yes, Omega went under Jericho's legs and dropped him face first into the steel post, which was nice. Code breaker by Jericho. Kenny Omega sells a code breaker, I think, better than any I've ever seen. You know, a lot of people usually just bend their back and then like fall backwards, but Jericho runs in code breakers, and Kenny lifts his whole body up and just falls face first. I absolutely love it. It makes it like such a more devastating move. And then Jericho started using the chair like in desperation, and Omega grabbed Jericho, hit a one-winged angel onto the chair for the pin, and he retained his championship. So Kenny Omega won. Alpha versus Omega. I think most people expected him to win. Jericho put in a much better performance than I expected. It was a very brutal match. worthy of the title, Alpha versus Omega. I really wish that WWE would give Jericho his freedom when he's there. I know that obviously it's a PG product, so you can't flip people off and stuff. But, you know, I wish that they would give him this cocky heel shit that he can do. Because this was the best I've seen Jericho in years. Maybe the best I've ever seen Jericho in terms of character work. So that was absolutely great. And now we got the real main event, the last match on the show. IWGP Heavyweight Championship. Champion Kazuchika Okada, in my opinion the best wrestler in the world, versus Tetsuya Naito. Crowd was all over Naito in his entrance. Clearly the favourite here. I also really enjoyed Okada's entrance. The package like at the start with all the close-ups of him was really great. The bell rung and the crowd went nuts. They were ready for a Naito win here. Both men were getting cheered. There were some boos for Okada, I think just because Naito was so over. Yeah, I think both men were getting cheered and there were definitely fans for both guys. But Naito was definitely the crowd favourite here. And again, where I was at, like, pretty much everyone wanted Naito to win. I wanted Naito to win too. Even though I love Okada, I love Naito. The feeling out process was actually quite long here. But it definitely gave a big match feel, which I enjoy a lot. There was a drop kick to Okada's knee. And it led into a great sequence of counters to start the match. And Naito here ended up hitting a Tranquilo pose. Great. Commentators were saying that the bookies have odds on over or under 5 stars from Dave Meltzer, which I laughed at. I thought it was crazy. There was a nice drop kick to the side of Okada's head when he was like sitting down, and Okada got Naito onto the top rope and drop kicked him outside the ring, and Okada and Irish whip Naito into the barricade and big booted him over. And then Naito got a really nasty neck breaker right to the top of his spine, and he did it into the barricade, which was great. Springboard missile drop kick from Naito for a 2 count. And there was some elbows in the corner from Naito. They dropped Okada, and then Naito spat at him, which was great. The crowd loved it. I thought they were trying to make Naito a bit of a heel here, but the crowd weren't having any of it. They really wanted Naito to win the whole match. There's a running big boot from Okada on the outside, which dropped Naito hard. And Okada hit a nice spike DDT from the barricade to the outside. And Naito landed straight on the top of his head. Has happened a few times in this show, man. Hard to watch. Naito flew into the corner to hit Naito, but he missed. And he got caught, and Naito hit the back of Okada's head with his knee. There's a beautiful flapjack from Okada. Really great stuff, and it left both men just lying in the middle of the ring. Then Okada slammed Naito to the mat and hit a big elbow drop from the top rope. And he is setting up for the Rainmaker, which it didn't come. There was a sequence of counters, and it ended with Naito in submission. Submission lasted for quite a long time, and Naito got his foot to the bottom rope eventually. Naito swept Okada's leg on the apron, which was really nice. I always like a sweep, man. I don't know why. Neck breaker to Okada from the top rope. Naito then gave a super reverse Hurricane Rana for a near fall on the top rope. That was great. Both men, they started trading forearms in the centre of the ring. Both getting cheered, but a little bit of booze for Okada. Naito clearly the favourite. Naito the favourite here. Okada missed a senton from the top rope, and he quickly got back up to stop Naito from climbing the top rope. And Okada hit a brutal German suplex to the back of Naito's head and hit a Rainmaker for a near fall. First finisher we've seen in this match. Okada then reversed a step up Inseguri and put Naito in submission, which is countered into a Destino. Crowd was hot for this. Both men were exhausted. They were both struggling to stand up. They started trading forearms, and Naito spat and slapped Okada, which was great. Okada went to ground. Very disrespectful stuff from him, but that's great from him. I don't know what this next move was called, but it was absolutely great from Naito. And he got a 2 count. Don't know what it's called, I'm sorry. There's a Destino from Naito which got counted into a Rainmaker and it left both men on the mat. Okada didn't go for the pin, he was too exhausted. And Okada then picked up Naito but got hit with a Destino. I thought this was the end of the match. Extremely near full. Great stuff from Okada, the timing to kick out. There was a really great step up enziguri from Tetsuya Naito. And it led into a beautiful drop kick from Okada. And Okada's drop kicks are absolutely brilliant. He has the best drop kick in the business, I think that's for sure. Okada hit a tombstone and he got hit with a Destino. And Naito, he went for another Destino, man. Classic Naito is old stuff, man. Went for a Destino and he got reversed into a spinning tombstone, which looked really, really nasty. He picked him up, hit him with a Rainmaker. Championship retained. Kazuchika Okada pins Naito 1, 2, 3, and the crowd was shocked. People where I was watching it was shocked. It was like silence. I think some people were quite pissed off actually. I didn't expect Okada to retain at all. I'm okay with it, hearing now what they're doing with Naito. I'm just going to say, if you haven't seen New Year Dash, then just mute this part for 30 seconds or whatever. So now there's Chris Jericho and Naito are actually getting involved with each other. And Jericho was saying some stuff about Naito before, saying, oh, if you don't like how you're in a double main event, then you can take out with me, or he says something like that. So it's cool that they're going in a feud with each other. And yeah, I guess they got big plans for Naito still, even though he's not champion. No idea who's going to dethrone Okada, but we'll have to wait and see. So yeah, it was a really fantastic match, and the finish itself was great. The best bit of the match in my opinion. For an Okada win, that's probably the best way they could have finished it. I still would have rather Naito won, because I was ready to see him win the title. I think everyone was. But it wasn't meant to be, man. Okada cut a promo after the match in Japanese. I don't know what he said. But I know that he was talking to Naito, he was talking to the crowd. But I don't know what he said. I think there could be a rematch between the two at some point. I know that Okada won the title from Naito a couple of years back. I hope they do have a rematch, and I really still hope that Naito can win a title at some point, because I think he's earned it. I think the fans definitely want it. So once he's done with Chris Jericho, hopefully he can do that, or maybe he'll go into a feud with Kenny Omega for the United States Championship. That would be cool as well. But I think Naito definitely deserves to win a championship. People love him. And yeah, that's the end of my review. Thanks guys for watching. I'm going to leave in the description my plans for the channel, I guess, and I'd love to hear what you guys think about it, and any feedback that you could give me for this first video would be really appreciated. I know obviously it's not been perfect. The set and stuff is far from complete. I actually have some stuff behind me. I don't know if you can see it. There's an AJ Styles pop here. Don't ask about the Roman Reigns figure. Not a Reigns fan. That's just the way it is. He'll be incorporated somehow, I'm sure. There's a Finn Balor Demon figure here, an Asuka figure here, and there's a poster behind me of Nakamura and Finn Balor. Yeah, it's not complete, it's just temporary for now. But I hope you guys enjoyed it. Again, any feedback would be great, positive or negative, just be honest with me, and let me know what you thought about Wrestle Kingdom 12. And are you going to be sick of New Japan if this is your first time watching? This isn't my first time watching, but yes, I'll 100% be sick of New Japan. I'm actually going to go watch New Year's Dash at some point today. So yeah, thanks for watching guys, and peace.